As someone who speaks to admissions tutors, some of these would literally just get thrown in bin. Ooh, I would never make bold claims like this. Oh gosh, another kid who wants to do medicine, another kid who's done work experience. Okay, boo-hoo, what's interesting? Hey guys, if you haven't watched the first video where I go through what Oxford and Cambridge themselves say on how to write personal statements, go watch that now. It's going to be linked here or maybe here. I don't really know, haven't really done it yet. But yeah, go watch that. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about my students' personal statements. So I'm going to look at some of my ex-students' original personal statements. People out there on the internet can't copy it because it's already been through the UCAS system and it's already being used. So this is there for you to use as guidance. So I can talk about points. You can see here that this is actually quite an old personal statement, almost 8 years ago. So I've been doing this for a very long time. Let's look at some of the comments that I've made here and we can start deriving some principles and some key points. Let's read the personal statement. When I finally decided what I wanted to do, it was the moment that I knew that this was it and there wasn't any turning back. Making this decision was one of the toughest decisions I ever took. The 17-year journey has been anything but simple. Fancy yes, but simple no. Words can't suffice to express how much has gone by today. Now when I look back, this person has said a lot here without actually saying anything. So one point that we need to take away here is that we really don't want to be waffling. Everything needs to be concise, it needs to be precise and to the point. This was an external student. This was a student from Pakistan, I believe, who was applying for the Oxbridge PPE course. But what she had decided to do was list every single thing under the sun. Personal statement is not about listing things. It is about describing the relevant and the important parts. That's the point I make here. You want to choose the best ones. There is a document that we use. We call it the Experience Factory, where students record down what experiences they've had in the build-up to their UCAS application. So drop me a comment below if you want to see that. Okay, here is another one that we can have a look at. So this is a student who has applied for medicine. Let's break down and add some comments on. So this is an old personal statement, which they since updated, but let's look at some of these things. The first thing I would say here is the fact that you're using a big word for no reason. Yeah, you don't need to show off and show that you got a big vocabulary bank. You can use them if the wording there is appropriate. So I don't think this wording here is appropriate. My first rule I would suggest as we look through this personal statement or any personal statement is that your first line needs to be the best line in the whole personal statement. Remember, a human is reading this, and think about this YouTube video. Like if the first few seconds of this YouTube video weren't capturing your attention, you would never watch this. And likewise, when it comes to personal statements, you want to capture the reader's attention with the very first line. So your first paragraph and your first line need to be the best of the best. I would say your second best paragraph needs to be your last paragraph potentially. Because what happens is the admissions tutor will form an initial idea of your level and capability by reading the first sentence or the first paragraph. The end and the start are the most important parts of your personal statement. For scientific subjects and interest in research paired with my desire for human interaction led me to consider a medical career. So what I would say with this, for most students, this is how their personal statement starts. I would say this is not personal enough. That's how harsh you have to be. If you want to make it the best personal statement that your admissions tutor will see this year or one of the top 10, you need to be critical like this. So anyone could have written this. My proclivity for scientific subjects. Anyone can have that. Your interest in research. Anyone can have that. Paired with my desire for human interaction led me to so anyone could have said any of these things. It is not personal enough in my opinion. Starting sentences with stuff like whilst or when or these kind of conjunctives or non-traditional sentence starters, I would be hesitant to do so. Just make sure you are using the optimum form of grammar, that you give the best meaning possible to your words and your phrases. Okay, so I wouldn't start with something like whilst. I would use a better sentence starter. Initially just a consideration amongst a list of careers through periods of work experience in multiple case settings and further reading developed into a definitive career path. Again, I will extend my comment to the first part. This is too general. This is too general. Secondly, this does not capture my attention at all. Okay, I'm like, oh gosh, another kid who wants to do medicine, another kid who's done work experience. Okay, boo-hoo, what's interesting? All right, my placement at GP surgery gave me an introduction into how healthcare systems operate in the UK, and attending baby clinics made me aware on how to effectively communicate under time constraints. Okay, the potential problem might be that this sentence may be a bit too long. Maybe we can split this up into two. So the key thing that you need to realize is that it's all about redrafting. The best personal statements are usually redrafted 20 to 30 times at the minimum. Okay, if you've written it up once and maybe your teachers checked it and you made some improvements and you're only on draft number 2 or 3, well, good luck expecting your personal statement to be the best item on the admission tutor's table. So if you've only done 1 or 2 revisions, then you're in for a major shock. If you listen to any top author, for whether that's J.K. Rowling, J.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, whoever, you will see that they always mention redrafting their work. No one writes the perfect first paragraph out of thin air. No one, not me, not J.K. Rowling, not anyone. Don't kid yourself that you think if you're going to start writing amazing in the first few drafts. You need to redraft and redraft and redraft and go all the way up to 20 to 30 drafts. So if you've done up to 20 to 30 drafts, then you can be kind of satisfied that you've done enough for your personal statement. If you haven't, go back and slap yourself. If you have a look here, so I think this sentence may be a bit too long. Yeah, maybe we could cut this down and shorten it and make it into 2 sentences. That might be an initial improvement that we can make here, but that's fine. We're not going to add that point in here. It's all about redrafting, so maybe not on this redraft, but maybe in the next draft we may add this in. So another tip as we go along is use Google Docs. I would heavily advise you to use Google Docs. So for example, if I'm giving feedback, I can easily add these comments in. You can edit it, then I can send it to someone else, or you can send it to your school teacher, or you can get it checked out by different people, and they can all add comments in as we are working through this. This awareness was further enhanced
whilst I was shadowing doctors on the emergency department of a hospital. Watching doctors remain focused on the objective while dealing with acutely ill patients and distressed family members in order to take a relevant and comprehensive history was extremely valuable and demonstrated.
Okay, so here we can see this is an extremely long paragraph. It's putting me to sleep. We definitely need to shorten paragraph. Sorry, not shorten the paragraph. What am I writing? We need to shorten the sentence. Split sentence. But actually, the shortening paragraph might also apply. This looks like an extremely long paragraph right here. Okay, I became more informed about the hectic work life of a doctor and the effect of a high pressure and emotionally taxing environment. This taught me the importance of a good work-life balance. To expand on my on-field experience, I read. Yeah, this would nicely be a segue to break it off into a different paragraph. Yeah. So new subject, new paragraph. I read In Stitches and This Is Going to Hurt, which gave me a clearer picture as to the obstacles a junior doctor faces. Okay, this doesn't really add that much because a lot of students do end up reading books like This Is Going to Hurt. You need to really find something really interesting from there if you're going to mention this. Okay, additionally, I have read MPS and MTU publications to broaden my understanding of informed consent and ethics in medicine. Okay, so again, I would say, what specific examples have you found? What specific examples have you found? Like, anyone could say this without even reading this. I could say this. I could say that I've read MPS and MTU publications. Like, what on earth does that even mean? The volunteering I engaged in at a care home gave me a different perspective into the medical environment, which a purely clinical setting didn't offer. Seeing the effects of declining memory on a person's behavior provided a more human. So this is good. So now he's talking about a specific example. He's talking about declining memory on a person's behavior, and showed me how diseases can impact quality of life. Fantastic. What I noticed is this student keeps using whilst as a sentence starter. So you want to vary up your sentence starters, yeah? So sentence starter variation. As a side point, and not a necessary thing to purchase for a personal statement, but just for improving your English, I would recommend getting this Little Red Writing book, which is an excellent book on how to improve your English with some key principles. Okay, I'll put the link down below. As a part of making fully informed decisions about my degree course, I attended healthcare courses and lectures, including a live operating theatre experience when I was given the opportunity to perform dissections on surgery on an animal. Okay, this is excellent. This is giving specifics. Ideally, I would have named where you went. If you went to a university lecture, like for example, if you went to the University of Nottingham, for example, I would mention the name there just to show that, look, this isn't something that the student's randomly making up. It's not a necessity. I personally like to put that in. It just gives that bit of flavor and personality to it. Yeah, but this is good.
This told me the importance of a 3D visualization for learning anatomy and how chemical manual dexterity is in medical profession. A lecture on the difference between illness motivating me to start researching the use of electroconvulsive therapy in the UK for my extended project.
So this is nicely linked. So where did you get inspired? Nice link here between the EPQ and the therapy lecture. Okay, the project helped me to become familiar with medical diagnostic criteria for mental disorders, the role of NICE, the role of NICE, and the importance of multiple factors in research. Okay, that's a so-so statement, I would say. It's okay, well, we can come back and review that in a different draft setting. Regarding my non-academic interest, I value physical fitness and attend a boxing club twice a week. So that's good. So you're kind of stating your kind of straight away, you're not faffing about, you're just getting to the point, and you're showing them you're dedicated.
I did the rank of non-corporate in CCF, where I've been progressing my teamwork and leadership skills off the camp. I was put in charge of young cadets, and as being between authoritative and friendly was something I find particularly
useful from this. So excellent. So here it's talking about what he's learned and moving from there. I participated on, so here there's a clear grammar mistake. I participated in weekend camps.
The cadets work in teams in order to complete certain tasks, and this taught me the importance of effective communication, coordination. I feel these skills will help me to become a more valued member of any multidisciplinary team in my professional career.
Okay, what I would say, this is a pretty decent way to describe your extracurricular activities. Only thing I would say is probably a bit too long for my liking. I probably would have chopped this down by at least a couple of lines. Try to fit all that in, or fit in the most important parts. You don't need to list every single thing you've done under the sun. As I've already mentioned in the what you don't want to do in a personal statement part, don't make up sports that you've not done or instruments that you've not learned. I actually know of quite a few incidences where students have been caught out. Yeah, so there was a student in my college who applied to the University of Birmingham, and he was your kind of full out geek. Yeah, so he absolutely never played any sports, and he decided to write that he used to play badminton at college or at some sort of club or something. And the admissions tutor decided to ask him about this, and he got caught out and he got rejected. I am committed and disciplined individual who is a good team player and possesses proven leadership skills. Ooh, okay. I would never make bold claims like this. Okay, so you don't want to see pompous and overly confident. Okay. Right. I feel as if these colleges will allow me to specialize in emergency medicine and lead a team of highly skilled individuals that provide highly. Okay, so he's mentioning using the word highly quite a few times in the same sentence. That's, again, you need to watch out for this. A lot of students overlook this. Repeat of the same. Yeah, so use some variation. Yeah, don't make it boring. Back my regular independent audits and satisfaction survey. Okay, that's the end of his personal statement, which is a bit weird. That's an extremely strange way to finish off your personal statement. I would normally suggest that you need an ending, needs, and conclusion-ish paragraph. So obviously, when we went through this the original time, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago, so I would have made these improvements and you would have added stuff in. These are just what I've done right now from a fresh, blank first draft, and we've gone from there. On a different day, I may have come up with some other points. So it's all about redrafting in different settings. So what I would do is sit down on a Monday and you look at your personal statement. Maybe then you go Tuesday, you go to a park and you sit down and you just read your personal statement with the fresh air breezing, through your hair. You're reading this personal statement in a different environment, and you can perhaps pick up more of these mistakes. We'll have a discussion of a few other personal statement tips. Get to the point. Don't just use buzzwords like teamwork, leadership, communication. On their own, they don't mean anything. Okay, what you want to do is you want to show, not tell, every single time. So each paragraph of your personal statement should have a distinct message, precise as to what you're doing. Each paragraph is different, yet it has a tiny thread that is linking all of them together. Don't go over the top. Don't be overly formal. Don't use words you don't understand. Don't use slang. The statement should flow from top to bottom. Some ways to kind of really improve outside of these points. So when you're drafting, you want to give it to, if you've got a tutor, for example, a lot of people send their essays to me. So I read them, I give them feedback, read them, give them feedback. You can send me your personal statement if you want me to have a look, and I can give you some feedback. When I have some time, I can give you some feedback. Absolutely no problem at all. As a thank you for you guys watching and supporting our videos, and share it with your friends, and I'll be happy to look at theirs as well. You want to make sure that you are giving the drafts to different teachers, different school teachers. If you're applying for medicine, you want to give it to a biology teacher to have a read over. Whatever subject you're applying for, if you know your English teacher in your school, for example, if you studied at secondary school there, now you're at A-levels at that same school, go to your English teacher. Get them to read over it. Even if you don't know the English teacher, ask them, can you read over this, please? Of course, go to your form teacher. Your head of sixth form should almost always read it as well. Show it to your mom. Probably not a good idea to show it to your friends who are also applying, because you don't want ideas to get mixed up, and you don't want to have similar ideas and therefore plagiarism. Also, I would suggest, if you know doctors, if you know students, undergrads on those courses, show it to them, get some feedback from them. None of these people can write it for you, but they can all give you feedback. Another thing you can do is read it out loud. So in the olden days, I would read it out loud. So when I did my personal statement, when I would get students to do it over, say, 5 years or plus ago, that I would just tell them to read it out loud. That's another classic tip that authors will tell you. Our brain is an amazing piece of technology. It can overlook errors and fill in the gaps automatically. For example, blind spots in your eye. Yeah, your brain, you don't recognize where the blind spots are usually, because your brain fills in that gap. So nowadays you can use a website called Natural Reader. What you can do is you can go in there and you can paste in your text, paste in your words here. That's a great tool that you can utilize nowadays that we use here. And you will spot so many errors this way. When you are sending it to different people, make sure you get feedback from one person and make the improvements and then send it to the next person. You don't want 2-3 different people working on the same personal statement and giving you feedback. Sometimes you only have limited amount of time with a chief engineer to review your personal statement, or a sixth form, head of sixth form, because they don't have as much time as you would do as a student. So you need to really value their time, and you need to really give them the best personal statement you can at that particular point, and then work from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a third video where I'm going to go through my own personal statement and lots more tips. Now, if you really want to see that, drop a like. Whilst you're down there, you might as well subscribe. So yeah.